Thank you for the welcome, Jan. As Jan said, this is Mette Hall Rasmussen from Ædellunds Shetlandsponyer. Mette has been teaching kids to ride since 1979, and since approximately 2005, she's been doing it according to learning theory and behavior science principles. My name is Merete Stenner. I'm a colleague of Mette. We are both educated at Susan Kjærgaard, who you will see later on today at Blueberry Hill. And we will try to show you how we start the little kids from very small ones and to their pony education. The first team we have here is a couple of girls visiting us from Norway this summer. And they are doing blindfold, which is a game we play with the kids to give them a feeling of how the rein control works, how negative reinforcement works, how confusing it can be to be a pony when you have to rely only on the tactile and maybe a voice like clicking, tongue clicking or whoas from the rider when you can't say, hey, just turn left. And it helps a lot to give the kids an understanding of how hard it sometimes is to be a pony and how aware you have to be of your signals when you're teaching or training a pony. Because what we believe is that whenever the kids are close to the ponies, they train the ponies, whether they are aware of it or not. So we try to help them train the ponies in a proper way, in a good way that makes safe, reliable ponies that also have a high quality horse welfare. What the rest are doing is that they are catching the ponies. We have been training them. The whistle you heard in the beginning, we have been conditioning the whistle to mean a food reward. And now the kids have caught the ponies. They are rubbing them down a bit. We have done the grooming beforehand. And what we have here is Sarah and Bruno. And they are working on stretching him forwards down. Bruno has had a back problem and needs his stretching. And it can be hard to teach biomechanical correct riding to kids and Shetlands ponies, and that's not where we can put a lot of emphasis in the early lessons. But then when we have big kids who would like to do groundwork with the ponies, this is one of the things we can focus on, as well as handling and being aware of the learning theory. So what they're doing now is they're teaching Bruno that he can reach down in the pan and do a nice forward down stretch for the sake of his back. And we are of course aware that this gives, it's a bit of a fixed position, but the vet has said we have to have the stretch. And then later on, maybe in the launch or in driving range, we can have him do it more naturally, because now he's found out that it's nice for the back. The next thing we're going to look at is the green team. They're grooming the pony Bella. Bella has had a lot of issues with handling from the ground, and she has had a lot of antagonistic behavior towards the grooming situation. She has been checked by the vet, so we were sure that there were no physical ailments that made her react negatively to the brushing. And then we have trained her, both by tying her in a secure position and by using what we will see in the moment, a head stall with a muzzle to avoid biting. We have today, you can see a bit of she has been very good. She has been very good, but of course this today is a stressful situation. You see a bit of the reaction. What we try to teach the kids is they have to keep rubbing. When Bella reacts, they have to keep rubbing and only release the rubbing when she stands still. So they are rewarding her for the standstill and not for the kicking. Because of course, kids will draw back from the pony if the ponies kick. So we have to be very aware that we make a safe grooming situation for both kids and pony. The muzzle that Bella is wearing, you will also see a lot of the other ponies are wearing muzzle. That's not because they're biting. it's because they are grazing. At home, we train a lot in a field, and instead of using anti-grazing reins, we use the muzzles, because then the ponies quickly learn that they can't graze, but it doesn't interfere with the riding, and it doesn't give any false signals of stop or back. Also, most of the ponies are ridden in just a side pull made from a drop noseband, to avoid, if we by accident have a kid that pulls on the rein, which is unavoidable, the ponies aren't pulled in the mouth, they're just pulled in the noseband. Yep. We'll be continuing to the red team, who are going to show us some basic rein handling. We have Agnes and the pony Maya. And what we like to teach is from the very early beginning. In the first few lessons, we like to teach the kids how to use the reins on their own, because as soon as we can get the kids to get a basic grasp of rein handling, they can participate in steering the pony. We also give them a basic grasp of the forward signal, so that the rider will get the experience, however young he or she is, will get the experience that they are actually participating in riding the pony. They are not just being dragged along by their parents or some helper. And that gives really a lot of joy to the kids to be able to handle their ponies. What Mette is explaining now is how to hold the reins, and then she's explaining Agnes how to shorten the reins, how one hand can help the other. So we have some basic grasp of rein control, how she can be able to shorten the reins, lengthen the reins, according to what the pony needs. So now she has a loose rein, she kicks the pony for a start. When the pony goes, she releases the legs. And now she has to make a stop. She's riding Maya forward again. And Agnes is controlling Maya. The mom is only there to hold the lead rope if need be. It's important that we let the kids get the experience. Of course, it has to be safe, it has to be fun, but you can easily, on a long lead rope, let the kid do the riding. So now she wants Agnes to make a really long rein. And now she wants her to tighten the long rein. She wants her to make Maya back on a long rein. And of course, this is difficult. But by showing the kid how difficult this is, it's part of the education, because now Agnes knows, well, I can't. If I have to draw my reins all the way up here to make my pony back or stop, that's really uncomfortable and unhandy. So she has to shorten the reins a bit. A short rein can still be a loose rein, but it's very hard to make a long rein tight. And if you need tight for steering or stopping or backing, now she can back the pony. Yeah. Nice. And you see the nice yes, thank you that the pony gets when the task has been fulfilled. We teach the kids, one of the things we teach, of course, we don't go and say a lot of negative reinforcement or positive reinforcement, but we say you have to learn to say yes, thank you to the ponies. So, when the kids have got a basic grasp of the rein handling and have been riding for some time, they can use some more advanced techniques. The basics is, of course, the same. We have the blue team here, which is Olivia here, riding Theodore and Louise, and we have Laura on dime, the lime green team. And they are both doing some more advanced rein handling and working on their focus. Because if we can get the kids to have focus, they can help the ponies to have focus, which is, of course, very important. So, what Mette is doing now, she wants Olivia and Theodore to turn right by opening the right hand to give an opportunity to Theodore to turn right. And now Laura and Dime has to go the other way. And she has to release the reins. Again, we have the short rein can be loose or the short rein can be tight. But when they have this slight contact at all times, it is easy to control the ponies. So now Olivia had to take a turn around her mother and Louise. And she's also, Mette is teaching her how to be aware of her hand position so that she has the whip in a position where she could use it if she needed. We use the whip as a backup for signals. If the forward signals is not quite strong enough in some situation, or if the turning signal is not quite strong enough, we can back up with the whip. So now Laura is going to walk the tire down there. What we have here today, we have some old bike tires. Sometimes we have cones, sometimes we have cows. We have cows at Mette's place. That's fantastic for focus. You can use the letters, you can use other people. You can use poles, anything that helps to give the kids focus. Because when you have kids of this age, even when you're teaching adults, it's very important to give them some physical point of focus. And you can use anything in your imagination. But it helps a lot. When we're teaching young kids, we have to help them to find the point of focus. We can also ask them, where would you want to go? And if you go there, how do you go there? What is the plan? Teach the kids to make a plan and stick to the plan. Yeah. Next exercise we want to look at is the mounting and dismounting exercises. Of course, it is very important that you're able to get on the horse if you want to ride. It is also quite important that you can get it on comfortably, safely, and that the horse also feels that it's comfortable and safe. So we teach a lot of mounting from mounting blocks. We very rarely use ground mounting with stirrups. We can also use mounting with a helper. We use mounting from both sides. We do a lot of rubbing for standstill at the mounting block, so that the pony gets used to that standing close to the mounting block is a very nice place to be. Oops. And if the pony walks off, what do we do? Well, we just have to put him back in the right position again. We can also sometimes, if it's really difficult, we can have a helper. So one holds the pony and the other one goes on the mounting block to make it easier. And again, we of course have to remember the learning theory. We have to remember that we pull to get the horse to move with the rider, and then we release when he is in the right place. And again, we have to have a relatively short rein to be able to control the pony if he is to walk off. If we have him standing with a totally long rein, he will just walk off, and then he get a rub again when the rider is on. We also do dismounting at the block because that helps even better to increase the motivation for standing still at the block. And it also gives the rider a point of focus to ride towards. The next thing we want to do is show one of the things we do with the small kids, bigger kids. We use some basic falling off technique. There will be a whole show of falling off technique in a minute. But we want to give the kids a feeling that it's not dangerous to fall off the horse. We want to make a safe environment. It's important that the kid feels safe. The 2 kids we have training this today, we started trying because of space problems in the car. We said, well, we only want to bring 2 mattresses, 1 for each side. And the kids said, no, we won't fall off. We are hurting ourselves. And we said, well, okay, of course, the kids has to feel safe. If we don't make them feel safe, it's no good. But what we want to emphasize here is that they have to keep the arms close to their body so they're not hurting their wrists when they're falling off. We want the pony to be calm. It's good training for the pony as well. And we use a lot of other general balance exercises, like flying machine arms or moving around the world on the ponies as well. So, next we have here is Sille on Katjan. And she is doing a trot on the lunge. We like to have the kids comfortable in the trot, relaxed in the trot. You see she's riding here without a saddle. Sometimes we have a sheepskin, as we see on Agnes and Maya over there on the red team. But often they just ride bareback with a neck strap, always a neck strap. Because when we have the neck strap, we can avoid pulling in on the reins for balance. So we have Sille here sitting on Katjan, slightly lean back. Mette used to say they have to imagine they're sitting in a comfortable chair. Relaxed lower back, relaxed leg. We don't want them clinging on with the legs. And she's doing this very, very nicely. If we have a child that gets unbalanced, we move the pony directly into the walk again, because we don't want the tightness. We want the kid to be relaxed. And what we're going to show here is a demonstration of that we don't always have to use only negative reinforcement. We can also use positive reinforcement, because Katjan here we're working with Shetland ponies. Many of the Shetland ponies are very pressure resistant and not very much motivated to run forwards. But they're also very much feet motivated. So now Sille has the carrot on a stick, and Katjan get the muzzle off, because then he will actually be able to eat the carrot, or else it would just be cheating. So Sille has to imagine that this whip is the nose of Pinocchio. When Pinocchio's been telling lies, he gets this very long nose. And we also use the picture that the nose has to be pointing out between the horse's ears to give good balance and give forward focus. And this is what Sille is demonstrating now, because in the end of Pinocchio's nose, we have the carrot. So, good boy. But we use, when we teach the kid trotting, we can use the lunge, or we can run with them. When they're big enough to don't always have their mom or dad or other helpers, it saves the leg of the riding instructor a lot when we can have the kids on the lunge instead of having to run with every kid. It kind of wears down the feet. So, yes. Next, we're going into the middle here. We're going to, Mette just said to Agnes' mother that she has to be more aware that Agnes has to sit in the reclining chair to be really comfortable and relaxed when she is trotting, to give that independent seat. Now we are taking the orange team down here. What we have here, that's another piece of very inexpensive gear. We have some old fire hoses. They're great. They're highly visible. They are easy for the ponies to walk on there. We're using them for some direct turns, some moving of front legs. And the pony won't hurt her feet if he steps on the fire hose, but it's visible, and it gives a great point of focus. So, what Clara here is doing on Freya is she's using the direct turn to influence individual front legs. And when we do that, the instructor, if the child rider can feel when the horse is moving which feet, that is very nice. And if the rider is not quite there yet, the instructor will of course help by saying now or saying right and left, which both helps to guide the pony and to give a feeling of the horse's movements. So, Freya here, the pony, she's been having a lot of issues with some very narrow front legs. She's been having some lower neck problems, which we have had the vet looking at. And this is one of the exercises that help to open up and give better control for the rider. It both helps steering and it physically helps the horse. Mette wants her to move the left leg off, make a slight turn. Now we're moving from a standstill, which is also a possibility when we're moving the front legs. So, Mette wants Freya, Clara, to ride her horse forwards again. This is also great for straightness if the horse has a tendency to not be able to walk straight lines. So she's trying again. She can ride now between the fire hoses. We have also been trying to to get a bit of space between the front legs, to have one feet on each side of the fire hose. The next thing we have up here is we have some ponies training dangerous objects or interesting objects. It's very important for us to have safe, reliable ponies that are used to a lot of different stuff. And we use gradual desensitization. Now they're making this easier on Freya to go through, so that both horse and rider has a nice and comfortable experience. We of course also have to increase the difficulty to keep challenging horse and riders. But of course it has to be safe. And we can even do trotting through the portal here. We also have maybe you can't see that, but under these tires, the white stuff, that's bubble wrap plastic. So it makes noises when the horses is walking over them. That of course also takes a bit of getting used to, but it's great to be used to if we get to places where you have to walk on unknown grounds and stuff. And you can see when we do the trotting here, we of course also have to be aware that the kids are still sitting in the reclining chair and are moving in a comfortable, relaxed trot, both for pony and rider. And of course, most important of all these toys, they make for fun training. When you're training kids, you really have to make the training versatile, you have to make it fun, you have to make it comfortable. We also do a lot of groundwork with the ponies. If the kid wants to walk with the pony, play with the pony from the ground, that's quite okay, because that also helps them getting used to the pony, helps them get comfortable around the ponies and about how they use the signals. What we have here with the green team is an advanced launch lesson. Maybe you can't see it up in the end there, but Johanne, who's riding Bella, she is wearing a blindfold to make the balancing a lot more difficult. So this is one of the ways that we can increase the difficulty and increase the challenge. And of course the pony is still here, she's still wearing a neck strap, because if Johanne loses her balance, she needs something to cling on to. So we have Freya to the portal again here. She's now being a bit more relaxed. The little ones, they just go trotting through. That's no problem at all. That's just fun. And now Mette is telling Clara, who's riding Freya, the big orange one, that she has to go through on her own. She was saying that she would like it was a bit more comfortable to have help. Now Clara has to remember breathing. Yeah, she went through. Mette is telling her to focus, to imagine that she's within her own bubble. You're not there, you're invisible, we are not here, I'm not standing here talking. But Clara is just riding Freya through the portal, no problem. We know, of course, Freya can do this, but of course today is a high pressure situation. We are away from home. There are 200 and somewhat people looking at us. And both Clara and Freya are, of course, feeling that. But this is great, great, great training, because next time we go to a show or something, that will just be a piece of cake. So, we give it another try. We make it a bit easier to make sure we have a success here. We are opening the path a bit so Freya can have a look through the portal. And there we go, very nicely. And that's, we can't force this. Of course, we could have forced the pony through, but that would have been really bad learning, because then maybe next time she would be a lot more anxious, both the pony and the rider. So we have to play it into the pony. We have to help the kid be relaxed. We have to make it easy enough and still also challenging enough. Because if we only go with easy, the kids don't learn enough and the ponies don't learn enough. We're going to have a look more here at Agnes, who's trotting. Agnes has to remember the reclining chair. And of course, when we're teaching ponies, we're also teaching parents, because most of the time with the small kids, we have the parents running around with the horses, and we have to also instruct the parents on how to handle the ponies. Because the parents have a great influence of the result on the training when we're handling these little ones. So we have to both instruct the kid, and we have to instruct the parent how to help the kid when we're doing something else. We also sometimes do lectures for parents and kids to teach the parents some of the more theoretical background of the learning theory, some of the concepts, so they also know what we are saying and why we are saying it, and why we use the pictures and stuff we do for the kids. So now Mette is telling Agnes about Pinocchio's nose that has to go out through Maya's ears. She has to sit back on the lunch, be relaxed. Hands on the neck strap, have a secure grip. Because what Agnes is doing is she is leaning backwards, but she's looking a bit too much down, so Mette wanted her, by talking about Pinocchio's nose, to have the nose a bit more up towards the ears, which give a bit less of a bend in the back. One of the things we do with the a bit more advanced riders is we tell them that they have their very best elastic band is sitting here between the shoulder blades, which gives a slight tension, not tense tension, but a slight tension in the shoulder blade. Instead of saying chest forward, they just get this slight more straight back, and they have to really be careful about the hairband. And when we have touched them on the shoulder blades and told them we're stuck on the hairband, they can easily find that feeling when we just say, hey, remember your hairband. And it gives minus point to write down the instructor. So we are going back to the portal again. Mette says that if the riding instructor doesn't keep her eyes open, it's allowed to ride her down. So, we have a look here at Mette and Romeo on the yellow team. Mette just told them to be aware of the hands. We tell them that they have solar-powered hands. The nail on the thumb has to be upwards to be able to receive the sun, because that gives better position of the hands, and it gives better position if they have a whip. So, what Mette is telling Agnes and her mother now is that we only want Agnes to trot if she is relaxed. Because what you're practicing, you're getting better at. So if Agnes is practicing tense trotting, she will be better at tense trotting, and that's not what we want. We want her to be better at relaxed trotting. It's easier for her, it's more comfortable for the pony. So, she can only take as many steps in the trot as she can keep relaxed. And that's what we want her to have a look at. Good.